Hey, how's it going?
Going good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Can't complain. Drinking a smoothie here.
Nice.
Oh, all right, guys. Well, everybody who's watching this after the fact, welcome to Hero Meetup 27. And we're going to talk about the spirit of justice for hire today based on movies and shows that have made us feel great. But before all of that starts, we are doing this little countdown right here. As you can see, we got something special.
Question, did you know that you're the answer? You should be the one that you really want to be with. Maybe you should keep the secret. Tell them you're the one. Tell them you're the one. Tell them you're the one. And we can go have some fun with it.
Guys, some help, please? Fun? Really?
That was awesome.
And there we have it. There we have it. So that means that there is a.
If you tie the knot, lose your health coverage.
What's happening?
Or
It's still going.
new to the family.
Something's happening here.
California helps you get health insurance when life changes.
Oh no!
And financial help.
I got so many.
Learn more at coveredca.com.
I'm totally,
Time is limited.
totally in control of this wonderful. Hold on. There we go. Spider-Man No Way Home. There we go. Exiting. There we go. Vintage is here. So yeah, thanks everybody for being here. And like I was just saying, so we have our Warner Media event. That's what it was, the announcement video for that you just saw, and we'll post that right after this everywhere so everyone can see it. But it's really going to be our biggest event ever. And when I say ever, I mean like we've never had a bigger Justice for Hire event like ever. Like it'll be the date is being locked in now. It'll either be the last weekend of October, or the first weekend of November in New York, and it'll be on 42nd Street. It'll be at the AMC. It's the Urban Action Showcase takes over an entire floor there, and we're going to have our own JFH panel where we're going to screen all of the submissions for this year's event, which means you can remake scenes as your JFH character, making them your own scenes, but also inspired by scenes from either The Dark Knight Rises, Avengers, as you just saw, Jackie Chan's Super Cop, The Five Deadly Venoms, which is a classic, I believe Shaw Brothers kung fu film, and what is that last one? The Transporter. So it's going to be our biggest event ever. What's going on, Ragdoll? It'll be our biggest event ever. Last weekend of October, first weekend of November. We'll figure out which exact date it is. It'll be in New York, and there's going to be a trophy. So there'll be a JFH trophy, and it'll be screened in the theater, and it'll also be we'll have a panel of judges from filmmakers to iconic martial artists, and it'll be huge. So I'm hoping that everybody not only creates content, but either can attend in New York or join us via Zoom, because we will live stream as well, whether or not you can make it, because obviously not everyone will be able to make it into New York. But it's going to be a huge event, and it's always a huge event every year than when they've had it in person. Obviously, they've had it remote for the last 2 years. But every year, it's a pretty big deal. So I cannot recommend it more. There's so many people in the action film industry that are there, in the filmmaking world in general, and it's just amazing. So what's going on? Ragdolls, thank you for joining us. So today is all about spirit. And Vintage, I'm so happy Vintage is here, because Vintage was at the first meeting we ever talked about spirit, the spirit of justice for hire, years ago. And this was like 2018, it might have been 2019. We'd started in 2018 with the Hero Meetups, again in New York. But Vintage actually took notes. He made a long, and I'll probably pull it up while we're talking today, his notes from like 2018. But we were talking about this spirit of what we're doing with Justice for Hire, building a cinematic universe and creating both in character and out of character like structure for like how we want to live, ideology, etc., to make this universe our own. And so one of the things that Autumn has brought up many times, and we've talked about, is the spirit of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And what is that spirit? How do you define that? And it is defined. It's super important to understand that. It's that there are tenets that are essentially very clear. There's a checklist that they go down. And this checklist goes through every system that's in place in making these films. It's actually incredibly dynamic. The screenwriters to the folks who are reading the scripts, the readers, to the folks that are looking at the rough cuts, and hence, like, what, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, they had tons of reshoots this past year. And they had doing all these reshoots because someone went down that checklist and said, there's not enough interconnection here across all these other assets. And I'm calling them assets rather than movies and shows and characters, because each one of these things is part of a very dynamic system. So how do we build that for ourselves? And I think it really starts with feeling. And the one thing that I've consistently noticed about Netflix or all these other like streaming platforms is that when I turn it on and I look at all the options, I don't feel good. And I actually just physically don't feel good. And I'm not sure if you're having the same sensations, but when I play a game like Legend of Zelda, like, if anyone's played that game, like the music, the journey that you go on those games, I actually pretty much almost always feel uplifted by them. And so I'm really interested in what happens if we start making films that consistently uplift us. And I've talked about this in some of the writings that I put out in the last few months. One in January called the positivity model, and why TikTok outperforms the streaming services when it comes to what the content, the feeling that the content is giving people. And that feeling is really a conduit from the creator's heart directly to us as viewers. And the difference between what's happening on TikTok versus what happens on, let's say, Netflix or Amazon, is that those films that you see listed there are made by committee. So a bunch of people are sitting down and they're talking about what's going to sell the most tickets or get the most viewers, etc. And then they go and they take a piece of art and an idea and they add all this other stuff on top of it. They complicate it with all these other ideas because they believe it's going to sell more. But what's happening, you can track this from I think the 70s or late 70s or so to now. Essentially, like film studios started getting controlled by boards of directors, and the studio head started making more of the creative decisions that the directors and producers would have to follow. So it wasn't like that it started becoming like that toward the Star Wars age of things. But like Star Wars was I think one of the last films that really got made with just heart. And there's this amazing film called Laddie. It's a documentary about the producer that greenlit and got greenlit Star Wars and got behind George Lucas and fought on his behalf with the studios to make sure that his vision got told. So TikTok is giving us, and other platforms too, but really TikTok, let's focus, is giving people a conduit directly to the hearts of the creators. So how do we maintain our hearts through our creativity in a shared universe, Justice for Hire, or the future shows and cinematic universes that we'll build together? And what are some of your favorite films and shows that make you feel great? And I think if we can look at how those were made, and I'm hoping that I'll learn a bunch of stuff from you guys of what those films are, et cetera, because I don't know like what has inspired you, and I want to watch them, because each one of these films more than likely has something we can learn and implement back into our shared universe. So if anyone would like to share, I'm going to start taking notes and making a list of what your favorite movies or shows are. The specific question is what shows and movies have made you feel great?
I would say that great is a subjective feeling, because even if something is a negative, quote unquote negative, it can make someone feel great because it connects to where they're feeling at emotionally. So I think to make people feel those things, we just need to connect with them, like on what's happening with society, I guess. But one of my favorite shows is actually an anime. It's called Naruto. I'm sure many people have heard of it. I really enjoy it because, well, first of all, I've witnessed the character development. Like I've watched it for a while, and so I feel like I grew with the main character. And then it also pertains to a lot of different things that I was interested in, like like energy work and yeah, just action, I guess, like cool moves. Yeah, it gets so deep, bro. Yeah.
Naruto is phenomenal. Welcome, Major Sanat. If this is your first time, welcome. We're talking about our favorite movies and shows that have made us feel great. And Vintage just brought up a great point that great, and I did talk about this in terms of the positivity model, because great is subjective and positive doesn't necessarily always mean happy. What we're really talking about here is a direct, authentic line of communication between the heart of someone and the wider audience. So that's just a great point, and I love Naruto. So we'll add that to the list of what's going on. Guru, so I see your hand up, Major, but we're gonna go with Guru, aka Mr. Z, first, because he had his hand up first, and then we'll jump in with you. Guru.
So dope. Thank you. So, I totally agree with what Vintage just said. Like great being subjective, but I think it's the movies and shows and whatnot that are authentic. I feel like if we're telling our own authentic story, someone is going to relate, someone is going to feel great on it. Like obviously, if we see someone who reminds us of ourselves triumphing over over some adversity, you know, like you'll feel more attached. You'll come out feeling great, whatever that is, whether you're dealing with a situation.
One second.
Creative.
Oh, sorry
No,
about
you're
that.
good. That's how you make an entrance. So yeah, so so like I said, you know, having something authentically ours, you know, we can go through our hardships, you know, and then come out on the other side, you know, maybe like a sad story all the way through, but you come out feeling fulfilled, like you've grown some. You know, I think it's, yeah, just being able to tell our own authentic stories in our lights, in our characters, in the form of our characters. You know, at least that's what I try to do with mine. You know, I try to take from my own authentic experience. Obviously, some things are are, you know, you stretch them a little, but yeah.
So that's I think beautifully said. Are there any particular, and I understand the principles of like maintaining that level of authenticity, but are there any films in particular that you think that we should watch from a universe building standpoint that make you feel any particular power way in terms of like power and like just generally love? Like, what do you love? Kick ass is on the list.
Greatest kick ass. I was thinking back on it. 100% Into the Spider-Verse. 100% Into the Spider-Verse. I was going to say originally, what was it? Soul. That one has a little controversy surrounding it because there's, you know, there's something to be said about, you know, the character or animalification. Made up word that of Black people in movies, you know, strip their power, but I feel like, you know, so things like that, like like it's, if you look through the universe that they built, it's an authentic universe. You know, you start to feel into the characters, you start to understand the growth that they're trying to go through. And same with, you know, Into the Spider-Verse. You have a clear, you know, the way the world begins for this kid, you know, and where it ends up at the end, and like the amount of like struggle and pain and doubt, self-doubt that they've gone through, like, and feeling like, I feel like I'm doing everything right. And you know, you are able to connect on that same level of just like, I feel like I'm doing everything right, but you know, it does not seem to be working out. But then, you know, you see it from another light, you get some more perspective, you understand a little bit more, and then yeah, boom, like triumph.
Thank you, man. We're getting some controversial comments in here too. I just saw a creator just said the Eternals. I'm gonna write it down though. I'm gonna write it down. I have so much to say about that one, but I'm gonna write it down. Sensei, you got your hand up? Thank you, Guru.
Yeah, hey. So this is a bit of an off-the-wall answer, but if you guys haven't seen this movie Pride from, I think it was 2015 or so, it's not a superhero movie. It's a movie about a bunch of mostly, I guess you'd say, LGBTQ activists in London.
Gay.
Going to that organization and teaching the Yorkshire miners how to organize. Because British politics is not something to get into right now. But if you don't know, at that time in England, the LGBT community was very, very marginalized. Maybe worse than America. I couldn't really say, not my place. But also northern industrial communities like the Yorkshire miners were very similarly in a very bad place. And they didn't know how to make themselves heard by, you know, whoever was in power at the time. So the Thatcher administration, then the local governors, all that. And it's a very interesting movie that shows a lot of personal growth, because these activists who go out there to teach the miners how to be heard, a lot of them came from communities just like that and didn't have such a great time there. That's why I left in the first place. So it's a lot about getting over yourself, getting over what's happened to you that maybe you regret, maybe what you suffered, in order to do what's the right thing for as many people as you can. So it's one of those movies I hate to say based on a true story, because, you know, based on a true story usually means based on, you know, the telephone game's version of a true story. But no, it's got some heart. It's got Bill Nighy, a bunch of no names. A very good underrated movie. Daniel Radcliffe's in it for 5 seconds, but no one seems to have seen it, and it really went under the radar. And it's a solid movie.
Thank you. Check that out. Did you say Bill Nye, like Bill Nye, the science guy?
No, Bill Nighy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the actor. You know, he's in the Pirates movies. He's usually pretty funny. He's in a lot of weird roles you don't expect him in. If you haven't seen The Boat That Rocked, he's really funny in that, but that's more straight up comedy with Nick Frost and Rhys Darby.
Wow.
Philip Seymour Hoffman, one of his last roles, actually. He plays a pirate DJ. It's pretty good. But that's a real long movie, and that's straight up comedy. It's not something that we really want to talk about right now.
You are a cinephile.
Have y'all seen the Human Centipede?
I've only heard about it. I've never fully seen it.
Excuse me? What?
I've only heard about it, but I've never fully seen the Human Centipede. I remember when like there was a lot of talk about it.
Yeah. No, this I didn't think I was going to say that.
Here's a movie that made me feel great. Human Centipede. But Major, just real quick, like, please introduce yourself. Are you part of the JFH cinematic universe already?
Yes, sir.
All right, nice. So it's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to have you on here with the team. Is this your first hero meetup?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, welcome. It's really great to have you. We have some real wonderful foundational heroes here, and we have new blood as well, and we just keep on getting bigger, and it's always beautiful to see more and more people who get it coming on board. So this is great to have you. And Jay Edward, welcome. Obviously, creator welcome. Vintage and autumn. Please go for it.
Thank you. I think for me, show that sticks out is two shows that kind of do the same thing successfully. Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Expanse, because they have a clear perspective from literally like moment one of the show. Like even in just the opening sequence narration in Avatar, basically tells you over and over again, and that Aang's gonna be the best version of himself he can be to save the world. And like I think that's part of the reason why just that opening narration like really resonates with fans, and then why it's just referenced over and over again. And I think like no matter what lessons Aang learns in the episode, even if he's going to make a decision that's a poor decision, like you still know and you're reminded over and over again that like that's the reason like the show exists, and that's why the character exists. And I think The Expanse, which is like a science fiction show, a live action show, does the same thing. Like from moment one, you're kind of you're reminded, hey, like if we just go to space and we do the same stuff that we're doing on Earth and we like ruin space in the same way, like that's going to be an issue. And no matter, you know, the antagonist or protagonist in the show, like every character is working towards that goal of reminding the audience, like, hey, we can't have the same patterns happen over and over again and bring all these issues just to like another planet. So yeah, I just wanted to bring up, I think those two examples stand out really clear to me, and those two shows, two of my favorite shows.
So thank you. Vintage.
So something that always made me feel really emotional to the point of even crying is when like the character, they go through a lot of struggles and hardships, and then somehow they unify the people, and then they just overcome like a huge obstacle. And it reminded me of the comment that you left on my TikTok today earlier, where you said timeless, what's timeless is cool. And I think morals are timeless, and I think at the core of every human being, like we respect morals, you know, like whether it be in gangster, you know, realms or in business, you know, morals are always respected. And I think it's the same with cinematic universes. So yeah, I think that's an important element to kind of like build upon.
Dude, I cannot applaud what you just said more. I can't applaud it more. Like it is you just framed something that I think we need to. It has to be, morals have to be, and morals have to be like clearly defined, right? And like what is the foundational moral values that we as a community are holding and building upon. And you know, I think that and that was the list that you started writing in 2019 or 2018 when we like first started these hero meetups. You started writing this list, and aspects of morality were on there as well. So that's a huge deal. And just to reference to point, he was talking about Vintage is doing some great stuff on TikTok, and he posted this video about you know, questioning. I mean, it's not about this, but essentially he talked about cool, the concept of cool, connecting to whether or not you feel cool about yourself and ego and all these really important ideas. And it's something I used to tell, especially like artists who were working, like specifically, I was working with an artist from Def Jam years ago. I was telling a short story, and she told her manager that he wasn't cool. And I was there at the table when she said this to him. And when she said he wasn't cool, I was just like, well, hold on for a second. Like, this guy's actually really, really cool. And it's important for her to know this, because like his kind of cool is the kind of cool that lasts for your entire life and helps you consistently win in various ways in life. Like I could see it. He's like 20 years older than me. And I was just like, this guy's got it, whatever that thing is. And it's intangible, but it's this wonderful energy. It's an abundant energy, and it keeps on making more and more good things around it. And if I told you who the artist was, you might remember her, but you're definitely not seeing her now. And she was cool, but her cool was not the timeless type of cool. She was like, you know, fashionable for a little bit. But this manager has, you know, like a lot of the tools that we all use on social media, et cetera. This guy's you know, behind a lot of those companies. So, you know, like he's like a really, really cool, like very, very workable kind of guy. So anyway, I think real cool is the kind of thing that you can get that will help you to collaborate with people, to build a better world, to forge strong relationships, and to essentially create systems that help people. I think that's really cool. And things that people might think are like cool for right now, those trendy things, they just fade away. And so I think true cool is timeless. And that's what Vintage was talking about. But Major Sid, let's go for it, man. What's going on?
So about the human centipede, so how do you know about it, like, at all?
I do know about it. I'm not sure if yeah, again, thematically, what we're talking about are the films that made you feel great. So
Yes. So
okay.
the human centipede made me feel great. So about it was like when they were getting on their knees and just getting in a line, like a very line, and they had suction cups, right? And not to get gross, but they were eating everyone else's shit, sucking it out of their ass.
All right, hey man,
Okay.
let's keep
it was
these.
pretty nice. So about it was pretty nice, because it was emotional. It was sad seeing all those people, getting tortured like that, which made me emotional.
Okay.
I just wanted to put that out there.
So when you say it made you emotional in terms of making you feel, let's say like, like what made, is there maybe it's Human Centipede and maybe it's another film, like what made you feel, or are there films that made you feel, or shows that made you feel like, hey, I can do it, I can be better, or I can feel like, you know, like one of the things I love about superhero movies is it reminds me that like we won't get to a higher place as a society unless we're actually superhuman. And we have to make ourselves, we have to train ourselves to be better every day and to achieve higher, you know, which is a big part of like even being a hero at JFH. It's like, okay, well, hold on. Like, how do I show up for other people in my life in a more heroic way every day? So like I'm wondering, is there, you know, are there things that you felt, any films, whether it's
there's one more movie. It's about like a guy in a prison. Like he didn't do the crime, but like he got in prison. You probably heard of it. It's based on a true story where he like digged his way out of prison through a wall.
Oh, Shawshank Redemption.
Yes, bro. That one slaps. Get it up.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
There was a guy who could prove him like that he was innocent, and they shot him because like he was doing stuff for the prison that was good for the prison. And I forgot what the guy who's in the head of the prison, he shot the guy that could prove him innocent. I thought that was wrong and stuff.
Dude, thank you for putting that on the list, because if you didn't know this, Shawshank Redemption, like a few years ago, like several years ago, was like they did a worldwide survey, and it's considered the greatest movie of all time. Somehow, like people just love that movie all across the world in terms of like feel good movie. It's like considered the greatest feel good movie of all time. So that's awesome that you even said that one. And I didn't watch that for like years, and then I finally saw it. I was like, man, I feel good. So thank you for mentioning that. And Jay Edwards, good to see you back on here, man. Hope all is going great. Not sure if he can talk right now. Jay Edward.
Can you hear me?
Hey, man, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. Well, see all of you. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Well, you know, we're like the theme of our conversation today is essentially films. We want to get a list from the community of films and shows that made you feel great. And great doesn't necessarily mean just positive and feeling good, but like feel strongly, like films that, what are some of your favorite films that remind you of like things you want to see more of? Films and
like
shows.
Rocky?
Sure, Rocky.
Yeah, I mean, It's a guy that comes from the very bottom, you know, and the underdog, and fights his way to all the way to greatness, you know. And even once he reached greatness, it's not about just reaching greatness, because you gotta keep fighting to maintain that level of greatness, you know. It's just not a matter of getting there, it's fighting to maintain, to stay there.
That's a great point. Fighting to maintain, not just achieving it, but maintaining.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can win the lottery and whatnot, or, you know, work really hard to become millionaire or billionaire, but staying at that level, not saying that, you know, being millionaire or billionaire is like the greatest thing, because I mean, we all know that there are people who are billionaires and millionaires who are miserable, but be able to achieve whatever your goal is, whether it's happiness or be rich or millionaire or whatnot, to stay there, it's a different ballpark. So, you know,
That's great.
it's like you might reach a point of happiness in your life, but to maintain it is gonna be hard work. It's not gonna, you know, you're always gonna have your challenges.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that's those are fantastic words. You're reminding me of this comedian I just saw. He said something really similar. And this is great. I'm going to read this list off right now, because this is we got some powerful stuff. Ragdoll, I'd be interested in your thoughts too, on what we haven't heard from you. And we got creator. I wrote down kick ass. And did I write down the Eternals? I did write down the Eternals.
Pentagon.
Pentagon. There's a movie called Pentagon. I'm gonna Google that one. But I'm gonna read this list off. So we have Naruto, we have Kick-Ass, Into the Spider-Verse, Soul, The Eternals, Pride, Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Expanse, Shawshank Redemption, and Rocky. That's what we have so far. So that's really, I'd add Korra, Legend of Korra, to that list, because I love the Avatar universe. Cannot wait for more of that. And lots of Jackie Chan films. Jackie Chan is just always great. Always great. So, you know, and a bunch of folks came. I just want to repeat this, because you guys came after we did like a 5:01 p.m., 8:01 p.m. Eastern time screening of the JFH. We just dropped the trailer for our Urban Action Showcase event, and it's short. It's 56 seconds. So you know, since I think Vintage missed, it's only Autumn and Guru saw it. So Autumn and Guru, please bear with me for these 57 seconds while I screen this again, so everybody can get a chance to see this thing. But we just put this out, and let me rewind it for you guys. There we go. All right, I'm going to share the screen.
Question.
Hold on. Boom. So this is just the announcement trailer. There'll be more information to come in the coming weeks.
Question. Did you know that you're the answer? You should be the one that you really want to be with. Maybe you should keep the secret. Tell them you're the one. Tell them you're the one. Tell them you're the one. And we can go have some fun with it.
Shit! Guys, some help, please? Come on, really?
All right, so that is our announcement trailer. We'll start doing more heavy promotion on that next week. But again, that's our latest competition. that'll happen at the end of the year, last week of October, first week of November, and they'll be it'll be with the Urban Action Showcase, sponsored by Warner Media on 42nd Street in New York, in the theater. And we're going to have an entire panel. We're going to screen the first episode of not only the first episode of the JFH series, like the season 1 official episode, but we're going to be screening every submission that you guys would create. And of course, the rule set here is you create based around 5 films: Avengers, Dark Knight Rises, The 5 Deadly Venoms, Transporter, and Jackie Chan's Super Cop. So you recreate a scene from any of those films as your own JFH character, and it's gonna be pretty dope. So prizes are the winner gets a trophy. Of course, there's a panel of judges there that'll be from Hollywood producers and filmmakers to iconic martial arts action stars, and it's gonna be great. So that'll be the end of the year. There'll be first, second, and third place, and it's gonna be awesome. So you saw a bunch of different clips in there from previous submissions, from Guru Merkaba, from Sensei Claus, from Creator, and we saw Ragdoll in there, who's on here right now, and we have Yulong. So just really dope stuff, and there are more heroes in there, and villains. We actually have some villains in there as well, several of them. So really dope stuff. And Jay Edward, I'm hoping to see a submission.
Saria.
What's going on, Major?
Oh, my fault. I was talking to my dad.
Okay, okay. So Jay, I'm hoping to finally see a JFH submission from you in this as a career filmmaker. Awesome, man. Well, you know what, Major? Hey, just a question to you before we move on. Can you tell us a bit about your character?
I identify as a 6-foot light skin. And my name is Major, but
Nice. So you
yeah.
identify as invisible.
Shout out to your dad too.
Sorry, that was my dad.
Hey, tell your dad he's welcome at JFH too.
What'd you say?
Tell your dad he's welcome in JFH as a cast member too.
Okay. You're welcome, Dad.
That's awesome. Well, guys, this is super helpful. Are there any thoughts that any of you guys have, aside from what we talked about, that you think would be helpful in us just contemplating to build a better shared cinematic universe, to build a stronger sense of I'm interested in the concept of morality. The Vintage brought up, like what are some morals that you would, what is, let's say, one moral that each one of you might say is important for a hero to have, like one value that a hero should have. Because if I want to write this down and really start, Vintage started on our Bible years ago on the ethos.
I personally feel like honor embodies a lot of different morals, so I would personally say honor.
Okay, so honor is interesting because honor can be defined in many different ways. So what would you say? How would you define honor?
That's the thing. Like, I feel like it encompasses many different other morals. Like, to be honorable, you must be humble. Just a lot of different morals, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a culmination.
Culmination. Okay, that's really interesting. Guru, I sensed it. I was like, I feel like Guru's hand is going to be up now.
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me. I know my sound is going in and out.
You're just low, but I can hear you. We can hear you. I think everybody.
Oh, my dick hurts. Two more movies that I did want to suggest.
Okay.
They're amazing movies.
Go for it.
One is called Man from Earth. and the other one is called Mr. Nobody.
Ooh. So I was just looking at the trailer for Mr. Nobody a few days ago, and I still haven't seen it. And I was like, maybe I should watch this. Okay.
You should watch it. It is a phenomenal, thought-provoking movie.
Okay, so what was the one, The Man from Earth?
Man from Earth, yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, thank you. Any thoughts on moral code for heroes?
I think moral code for heroes. I heard honor. I think honesty.
Honesty. It's great.
Honesty. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Because I feel like that covers a lot of. I feel like that covers a lot of traffic, I guess, so to speak. Meaning like it if you're being honest with yourself, you're being honest like about the depths of like what is the root of all of it, like being able to be honest about your intentions, all of that. If as like a hero, if you're honest in inside and out, it will influence others, so to speak.
It's excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And Ragdoll.
Believe respect and knowing to stay out of other bossiness. Believe respect.
Respect. That's great. And out of character, I have to say, I love that. I love that voice. That's awesome that you did that. That's fantastic. Okay, so J. Edward, we have J. Edward.
I like a lot of movies, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
I like James Bond, like Star Wars, Rambo, you know what I'm saying?
My dick hurts.
There's so many, you know what I'm saying?
Major, what's going on? Hey, Major's dad.
Hi.
Hey, you were recommending a movie?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I like James Bond.
James Bond, which James Bond?
Casino Royale, you know what I'm saying?
Casino Royale.
Yeah,
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna write that down right now.
And For Your Eyes Only.
Casino Royale. Thank you. All right. Okay, so J. Edward, please.
So ethics, because lack of ethics is practically what causes, heroes to become heroes. It's like there is so much injustice that we have to come in and fight for people to find justice. The justice system is lacking ethics, and how do we get here?
Interesting. Is there any particular code in that you might want to highlight in terms of ethics?
Well, I mean, it's just what's wrong and what's right. I mean, there is a thick line between right and wrong. I mean,
ooh, you said a thick line?
It's a huge line between right and wrong.
Wow, I love that. You normally hear there's a thin line between right and wrong. He's like, there's a thick line.
Yeah, I mean,
a thick, tall wall before right and wrong.
I mean, if you see something wrong happening, you know right away that it's wrong. So it's like somebody getting abused, that's wrong right away. It's like, why are we even thinking about whether you should do something or not, or whether you should call the police or not? If someone is getting abused in a certain way, whether it be verbally or physically, automatically that shouldn't be happening.
Dude, that's real, and I think Major agreed with you before his sign off. He said facts. He's like facts. That's great. So let's go for creator and then Autumn, please. Thank you, J. Edward.
Hello.
Yeah,
I'm at work. But, one thing that I say is that you're only as good as your last victory. That means you should always be training to be better, you know? Like a lot of people think that after they win something, that's it. I feel like you can always do more to improve yourself.
Oh, as good as I'm writing this down. I don't want last victory. Your last victory. I'll say this. I have to be completely honest right now. I was the head judge of the first World Series of Tai Chi grappling called Push Hands a few weeks ago. And as being the head judge, and I've won multiple world titles at the World Cup. And so, and I'm considered the only guy living in the United States that is an ambassador of the Taiwanese World Cup style push hands. And I chose to compete against the winner of this tournament. And I lost my first match in front of my son 2 weeks ago. I've never lost in front of my son ever. And so I lost 14-8. I lost 7 points, and it was an unlimited weight class thing. The guy had 60 pounds on me, but creator, you saying that hits me very, very hard. You're as good as your last victory, Jan. So, I wrote it down because I have to sit and meditate on that. No, just throwing it out there that I feel emotionally, feel so emotional when you said that. So thank you for giving me something to contemplate. Now, Autumn, I know you had your hand up, but J. Edward, you took your hand down, but J. Edward, why don't you go for it, and then Autumn come on back.
No, that was from before. I don't know why it's up.
Okay.
Or my bad.
Okay, Autumn, why don't you go for it?
Oh, I actually took it down because J. Edward did a great job of saying better job of saying what I was going to bring up. So. Okay.
Well, my bad.
Well, thank you. Listen, there's some really interesting comments in here. So there's dead character. Okay. First of all, Avengers Infinity War is one of my favorite movies. So thank you, creator, for putting that on, putting it on the list here. And I'm only scanning this too. Sherlock Holmes. Oh, BBC Sherlock Holmes. Okay. Okay, I will write that down actually. Oh, Firefly. Okay, WWE. That's interesting. Where's for right? Sherlock Holmes down here. Sherlock Holmes, BBC. BBC. Nice. All right, and guys, I think you really given. This is incredibly helpful, especially Autumn. You said something really powerful too about the intro to Avatar. Every time that intro comes on, I feel better. I actually feel better. And so when I think about vintage J. Edward Guru, some of the ideas you guys brought up here, Sensei, etc. Everybody who's when it comes to connecting this moral code together, and our intro actually should encompass what we're about as a community, right from the beginning, and what everything from both in character and out of character, right? Because we have a show in character that should feel a particular way, but out of character, we're all on a call together because we feel like there's something happening that benefits the greater good that we're all connected to. And that means that our passion, our creativity, our desire to create these pictures that we can share with others. So I think that you're giving me a lot of inspiration here when it comes to what our intro needs to be. And I think that this is something that we've talked about in the past, just from a thinking standpoint. The intro is something that every episode should change a little bit to incorporate more heroes from the community, so everybody that's a part of the community can essentially be part of the intro, which is impossible if we only have a 30-second intro. There's only so many people we can fit in there in a meaningful way. So every single time we should change it up a little bit with some different footage, etc. But the ethos should remain the same, the message, the feeling. So you're giving me a lot to personally consider as we put together the series on our live Twitch editing which is happening several days a week. Sensei. And so thank you to everybody. I just want to say thank you to that. Sensei.
Yes, I talked for a bit earlier, so I wanted to give everybody else a chance to go before I shoot up more of the meeting. But this is a bit like what Jared was saying. There's a concept that you see mostly in Buddhism called a mirror-like wisdom, meaning the ability to see something like if you hold up a mirror, the mirror has no opinions, it has no thoughts, it doesn't care. It's just a mirror. It just shows what it shows. The underlying concept being that you want to be able to see things as they are. If you have your own opinions and editorials, great. But it's very valuable for a concept like this to be able to just set aside whatever you might feel or whatever agenda you might have and just look directly at what's there. So that's a bit of a harder value to communicate. It doesn't have a direct English term. You could say clarity or perception itself, but it's a very important value to me because my main hobby in life has always been martial arts. And you see a lot of guys who have a lot of confidence who want to see something. And it always gets them eventually. If they're tough enough, they might win here and there. But eventually, if you're deluding yourself, it'll catch up at some point. I'm not gonna name names, but if you guys follow the UFC, we've seen a lot of meteoric rises where these guys believe in themselves so much they're so unbeatable that eventually, they go down hard and fast sooner or later. The guys who stay on top are the realists, the ones who know what they can do and just put the equation together as many times as it takes. So that's something to do with terrorism, something to do with life, but I'd say just for anybody, it's very important at least once in a while to be able to step outside of yourself and just be like a mirror, see what's there, not what you want to see.
Hey man, that felt so good to hear that. Thank you. A very deep personal thank you. Yeah, after considering the loss a few weeks ago, I'm still dealing with that. So thank you. Huge deal.
I mean, we all lose. I don't know what it's like because I have a son myself, but it's got to be something.
I'll ask you about that on the sideline because I did not know that.
No, I don't have a son.
Oh, I thought you just said you had a son yourself. I was.
Oh,
man,
no, I
awesome.
don't have a son, so I don't. I know what it's like to lose. I don't know what it's like to lose in front of a son.
Oh.
I know it's like to lose in front of my dad because I've got one of those, but I'd come from somewhere.
Well, Guru, I want to jump to you, but I'll say this that it was an amazing and wonderful lesson to be able to lose with grace in front of my son, and to be able to show him because he's only seen me win. To lose with grace in front of him and then to go to dinner with the guy who beat me. And again, this is not, he didn't beat me for a title, just to be clear. It was essentially an exhibition match that I want to keep as part of these tournaments because I think that whoever's judging should be able to fight, period. But that being said, win or lose. But that being said, like for a little kid to see, his dad lose, that he's never seen that before. And to my son sometimes doesn't necessarily lose with grace. He can get upset. He can be, a little sassy if he's lost. So to be able to lose in front of him and be like, hey, you still give hugs. You still say thank you. You still treat people with respect. And there's, these concepts that from my perspective of honor, or how I would define honor, to be able to do that and show, not by telling him, but by actually by example was really, really important and powerful moment. So thank you for saying what you just said, Sensei, because that resonates a lot. Guru.
I do have to say that was very powerful. I was jumping in for something you said earlier about the intros for each episode, because I was thinking that there's something that Titans does for DC, the DC show, their intro, where you'll have obviously all the characters that are in the show, but more importantly, they kind of give you a flash of the characters who are going to be in that episode. So I was thinking each episode, obviously you'll have pieces of the intro that stays the same, but what changes might be the characters that are added, or the heroes that are added that are going to be in that episode. But yeah, it was just a thought.
That's Grant's writing that down. That will be in the episode. Yeah, so we did something for season 0. Thank you for saying that, where we would put the hero intro video like in the beginning, literally stacked in front of you. I mean, if you've ever seen any of our JFH episodes, you've seen this.
Of course. Right.
So we have the hero profile video to start the video off, which was done intentionally because people didn't really know what we were doing back then. And so they were like, it was helpful in education from an educational standpoint. So I think, so you saying what you're saying now, I'm just bringing this up because I think that there's a faster way to introduce people. And I think that I think you just kind of touched on it. Just flash some of the faces that are going to be in the upcoming episode. And so I think it'll be very, very good, very good. So thank you, man. J. Edward.
Okay, yeah, back to what you said about your fight and you losing. I mean, losing is not necessarily a bad thing. It's an opportunity to step back and see where you're lacking, what mistakes you made. It's an opportunity for you to learn or what you're missing to improve, because I mean, when you lose in a sport, you step back and you see, okay, what did they do different that I didn't do for which I lost? And that's an opportunity for you to get deep and maybe come up with a better way to train, or if you watch gymnastics from like 20 years ago to now, it's like a complete new world. It's like people are doing triple backs and stuff like that. It's like you can't go to the Olympics without doing double layout or triple back or something crazy. So it's like it opened the door to think outside the box. Sorry, I just play a soccer game and I'm like all tired and all this stuff. So and I'm a little dehydrated, but yeah, it's a huge opportunity to learn new things when you lose.
I completely agree, man. Thank you for saying that. I'm over here reading Guru. As you were finishing up, I noticed Creator. That's why my language kind of stumbled toward the end, because I noticed Creator saying that he won last year, LOL, which was from that was from the Urban Action Showcase. So Creator won the Urban Action Showcase last year, and I think that's which is beautiful and wonderful, and that was everyone had phenomenal submissions, etc. So and J. Edward, I really appreciate what you're saying, because I'm and just to share something personal with everybody, like what we're doing and what we're building is like all of you guys. Every time we do one of these hero meetups, I'm like, I hope people show up, because you guys give so much energy. Like you truly remind me personally what we're doing, and it can be really, really tough when I'm on the phone with like Hollywood investors this week and I'm getting like a no from a Hollywood investor that knows me, but they may not know me like as well as they should know me, but like, they know me, they know what we're doing. They're like, you guys are doing great work though, it's gonna be amazing. And like, we're attempting to build out essentially a company that's going to redefine film and television, because everything we're doing is community-based, and all the future of film and TV is community-based. So, it's just part of running a startup. It's part of being an entrepreneur. It's part of building a business from the ground up. But it's tough and it's challenging. And anybody who does that will obviously tell you, I'm sure there's people on here who have experienced that. So all of these emotional things that happen with all of that, and Jade, we're connecting this back to the tournament, etc. I was going through all that stuff leading up to the tournament, which I've done before, but for the first time ever, I was training, but not like I wasn't training with a mindset of, hey, I'm competing for a title. I was training saying like, okay, I know the ecosystem. I'm more than likely more experienced than pretty much anybody who's coming to this thing. The only one guy that I'm concerned about is the guy that was coming, that won, because he was gunning for me personally. So he had like challenged me personally. And so I was like, man, like, okay, I feel like I can still take him. But regardless of showing up and to the tournament and knowing all of that, I still had all of these things affecting some of my practices. And so, yes, the losing is an opportunity for me to reevaluate how I deal with my own emotions, how I deal with nourishment, etc., sleep. I went to that tournament half falling asleep, and I was a judge. like not nearly as nourished as I should have been. And I'm just like, man, I'm still recovering from the tournament. Because I literally felt halfway through, because I was in the lead in the beginning, I felt halfway through that like my body was going to give out and I couldn't handle the extra 60 pounds the guy had on me. I was like, man, my strategy is not going to work against this extra weight. I'm just exhausted. And so like, there's all these learning curves and how that applies to our creativity, at least in my experience, is just like what Sensei said is picking up a mirror to myself and really looking at it and saying, okay, well, remove all the complications that essentially fog the mind and my perception, like what's really in front of me, like what really moves the dial, and again, you guys showing up here reminds me of part of what really moves the dial, which is just people coming together to get it. And so, big gratitude for all you guys, and shout out to Tai Chi Wonder who just jumped on as we're about to finish up. But Jed, I see your hand up again, man.
Yeah, you guys need to remember that history is full of people that felt that they lost something, time, that they were not getting somewhere in life. I mean, Netflix pitching to Blockbuster, and at the end, Blockbuster disappeared, and Netflix is like the biggest thing now, So, like, Back to the Future, the guy who wrote it, they didn't want to buy it. It was rejected like 11, 12 times and sold, and it made millions. And how many were made after? And so on and so on. So it's like we all lose before we win something, we get somewhere. So that's just the way life is.
Hey man, thanks for those great references. And if you haven't seen the Blockbuster documentary, it's phenomenal. I watched it on a plane. It's called A Plane Movie. Well, guys, thank you all so much for consistently putting out so much energy and love and like every time we do these things, it is just another boost forward for many different things. So like you are each and every one of you are so massively appreciated from the bottom of my heart, and of course on behalf of the whole team. And many of which are on here are on that team. So like I love you guys, and like I said, we're building this spirit as we go. If anyone has any extra films that come to mind, movies or shows that make you feel great, that make you inspired, that make you feel like you want more of that in your life. I think maybe we should have even framed it a little bit more in that way. If like shows, movies, I think Rocky's a great example. Like, these are things you watch and you're like, man, like I want more of that in my life, because that's going to influence our content. It's going to make people say, hey, I saw this short video from Ragdoll, but it made me want to have even more of that in my life. Like, I want to watch more of her videos. And I think the same thing is going to happen it'll be different for each and every one of us, because we're all coming from a different place. But defining that is going to help us define the spirit of what we're doing. So, and I think that every time we make content, we're doing that. So just thank you all. Tai Chi Wonder, if you got any movies, let us know. Movies and shows make you feel great. And Jay, did you ever take your hand down? Or did you put it back up? Okay, cool. Well, guys, thank you so much. Have an amazing Easter weekend, and sending so much love in all directions to all paths, regardless of what faith you have. Sending so much love to all paths and all people, and just so much gratitude for you guys again. So thank you. And I'm going to press end on this recording, and be sure to check out the video if you haven't seen it yet. of our announcement for the Urban Action Showcase Justice for Hire event, our biggest JFH event yet. Love you guys.